Hello everyone, my name is Professor Thomas with Junior Genius. We are going to do a two-part overview for our program. First part here is going to be the schedule. The second part is going to be the components of what is inside this particular program. Let's start with part one, the schedule. We have what's called rolling admission, and rolling admission starts after, for ACT, it starts after the 10th grade year. Will start in July. It's usually the first couple days after the 4th of July. We'll start, and we were going to go and train as hard as we can for the ACT that comes up in September. There are sessions available during the summer, 7 days a week, starting at 10 a.m., going all the way up until 8 p.m. We want to have the kids active and working as hard as we can during the summer so we can do the heavy lifting before school starts. We'll take our first ACT early in September. After the September test, we're going to go ahead and take a 2-week quick break, and then we're going to come back, and for most students, we're going to go into a free PSAT course I offer. It's just a little bona fide benefit for you kids and for parents. We're going to get free PSAT training. It's about 3 weeks. Some kids that start late could do training during this time period to take the ACT in October. Once again, remember, we have a rolling admission. Not everyone will start in the summertime. Some kids will not learn about Junior Genius. They'll learn from their friends. Parents will pass my name on, and so some kids will not be able to start in July because you didn't hear about Junior Genius. Therefore, if you start late, no problem. We can go ahead and start ACT prep for your first test in October. If you take the PSAT is given roughly the second week of October, depending on the school, depending on the year, or the October test is usually the third week of October. Once PSAT is complete and October, then we're going to go ahead and jump right into our second test. So we'll start the end of October, and we'll train the end of October all the way up until the second week of December. So ideally, if you start in July, we'll have ACT test on 1 in September. ACT test 2 will be done in December. We'll have two chances to take the ACT, and this is going to give you an awesome perspective on where we sit early. Most kids don't take their ACT in school until the end of March, early April, depending on the school. We have already taken the ACT at least twice before that test coming up in your in-school test in March or in April. All right, there will be a winter break, and that winter break is after the ACT. Usually it's around the 10th of December, and it will go all the way up until April 4th or April 5th. I am a PhD archaeology student at Harvard, and I am currently working overseas on my archaeology projects. This is time for me to go overseas, work on my project, continue with my academic learning, and kids get a chance to focus in on school. We've already taken the ACT twice, not a big problem. All right, remember, winter break is going to be from after the ACT in right around December 10th or so until April 4th or April 5th, depending on the year. When I get back in the early part of April, if kids are on spring break, there's stuff available going on during spring break, and we will once again start training for the ACT that's coming up in June. Okay, so right here is ACT test number 3 that you would do in school. All right, I do have a website. Kids know what to do, how to train. There's tests available on my website. You'll see that in the next part, in part number 2. But basically, this is ACT test number 3, and then here is the June ACT test number 4. So in my program, kids will take the ACT usually about 4 times. All right. If you joined late, kids will take a break here in June after the June ACT. Usually it's right after graduation, somewhere between June 7th to June 10th or 11th. Then there will be a break, and we'll start up after July 4th again. If kids start here in September, if they start in October, or they start early in April, kids can continue on over the summer. So if you started late, going between your junior year and your senior year, it's still a viable option as a senior to take the ACT in September and even take the ACT in your senior year in October. That's why we have this rolling admission. No problem if you start late, you just continue over the summer, and you'd have to take the test a little bit later than some of the kids that started earlier. That's part one, the schedule, the overview of how rolling admissions works, and the 4 ACT tests that I would suggest. Taking the ACT 4 times is an awesome idea because we can now do something called super scoring. Super scoring means cherry picking your best ACT tests from a multiple test conglomeration. So if you take 4 tests, sometimes it's hard to put your best scores together. You can cherry pick your best scores from each one of the tests. That's part number 1. Let's go ahead and take a look at part 2. Part number 2, the cogs of the wheel of Junior Genius and what is entailed and what we do during the summertime and throughout the school year. Let's go ahead and get started. So if you look, you see that we've got these white boxes around here. This is the core part of the course. First things first, keep in mind we have Saturday classes. Saturday classes are going to be 4 hours long. They're located at local public libraries. It could be Eden Prairie, it could be Ridgedale, it could be St. Louis Park, be different libraries throughout the Twin Cities. Hennepin County Public Libraries, it's going to be from 10 until 2 4-hour sessions. Right before we actually take our ACTs throughout the year, we're going to have, on Saturdays, those 4-hour sessions are going to now turn into what we call mock time trials. And basically what happens is kids show up and they take a full practice test with the time constraints in a room and an environment that's exactly like ACT. Okay? These are Saturday sessions. Throughout the week, we have something called pod sessions. Usually there's about 4 sessions a week during the summer, and these 4 sessions are going to be anywhere between 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. Once again, they're at local public libraries. Our favorite libraries for these pod sessions are going to be at Plymouth Library, close, on Highway 55 in Vicksburg, and at the Ridgedale Public Library as well. It's an open forum. Come and go as you please. Here's a suggestion from parents. Parents have said that this works perfect. What happens is mom and dad are at work during the summer and their kid is at home. So what happens is mom and dad will grab the kid on lunch break, 12 o'clock, pick their kid up, drop their kid off at the library, and leave the kid there from noon until 5:30 or 6 o'clock at night when they're done with work. Drop the kids off at lunch, leave them with the professor. I'll supervise, make sure everything is going correctly. It's a nice, safe environment. Kids have access to working and talking with me along with their other teammates. As I mentioned before, there's usually about 4 sessions per week in the summertime. During the week, during the school, there's usually 2 sessions. Okay? So we have Saturday classes and we have pods. Here we have Friday help sessions called seminars. I'll put out little flyers asking kids, what are you struggling with? I'll talk to kids at the pods. I'll talk to kids at Saturday classes and say, what are you struggling with? What do I need to do? Are you interested in coming to a Friday session? I'll put up a sign-up sheet. Kids will sign up, come to the session, and it will be targeting exactly what kids are struggling with in the program. I can't tell you what we're going to be doing on one of the Friday sessions. It's depending on who's in the class and who's struggling with what. Now, if you look over here, the cogs of the wheel here for homework. I'm not a huge fan of doing homework because I'd rather have the kids do homework with me. I like to supervise to make sure that kids are utilizing their time correctly. I walk around at the pod sessions to make sure kids are proactively working. They're not chatting with their friends. And I say, when you come in, what are you going to do? Kids will fill out a small little piece of paper and say, I'm going to do a math test and I'm going to do an English test and I'm going to correct it and review it with one of the assistants, with professor, with one of the interns, with some of my friends. Okay? When the kids come in and they give me the sheet that says this is what I'm trying to get done, if they don't get done what they said originally they were going to do, I'll say, let me see your review sheet for the math. Oh, I didn't finish. Hey, you better make sure that you're working proactive. Try and plan out what you're going to do and then keep your word as far as doing what you say you're going to do. I'll walk around and make sure kids are doing what they're supposed to be doing. If kids do want to do homework at home, we have a website. It's Ask the Professor, and they're all 5 sections of the ACT: English, Math, Reading, Science, and How to Write the Essay. Inside this website, not only do we have 5 sections, but we have a tab that says Learn It, a tab that says Review It, and a tab that says Fix It. The Learn It section is exactly what I'm going to teach the kids in person and in the classes. These are long videos. They're more adventure oriented. It's movie formatted. I can show you this in person. It's awesome. It's a cool website. These video tutorials are very helpful and it's very, very fun for the kids to watch. It's a small little movie. Review It are much shorter videos. These are exactly just to the point. Here is the rule. Here is how you learn it. Here's the technique. And now pause the video and let's do some problems. I'll come back and show you how to do those problems. Fix It is basically I will target exactly what the kids are struggling with. I'll know exactly what they're struggling with because I'm going to be checking the review sheets at the pods, and I'll be checking the review sheets at the Saturday classes. Kids will fill out the review sheet and will say exactly what kind of a problem it is. I'll say, hey, looks like you're struggling with English commas. Let's go to the Fix It tab, find where it says Fix It English commas. Go ahead, watch the workout. Here's going to review what the technique is, and then now pause the video. Let's do some problems, and I'll come back in the video tutorial to show you how to get the right answer. 5 sections, 3 different ways to do it. Learn it, review it, and fix it. Second website here is Quantum. It's a math tutorial website. Kids may take a full math test at the pod, or they may take a math test at the Saturday class, or for sure they will take a full math test at the mock time trial. These videos, every one of these tests for math is 60 questions. Every one of the tests that I give in the Saturday class, the mock time trial, and in the pods, every single one of those tests is on our website, Quantum. That means 1 question, 1 video. Each test, 60 questions. They'll be able to go and review every single question that they got wrong. It's a very, very awesome way of learning how to correct your problems that you get wrong from any one of the math tests that you take. Website 2, math tutorials. Video tutorial workouts, as we said before, it's going to be on our website here, and these tutorials could be how to learn it, how to review it, or how to fix it. Finally, over here, if you look, you see that we have, in case something happens, there's some kind of a school closure, COVID comes back, something happens, we do have an emergency website for online teaching, and it's basically an online school. It's kind of like a Zoom meeting. It's really cool. It's much more advanced than Zoom. Kids have the ability to turn on their camera, turn off their camera. They have an opportunity to talk in the classroom, or if they're too shy to talk in the classroom, you can go ahead and send a private message to me, and nobody will know that you messaged me, and then I'll talk about the question. Hey, professor, I'm too shy to talk in class, but I do have a question about what you just said. Then I'll read that real quick off to the side, and then I'll come back in and I'll discuss questions on this one. It's an awesome way of learning online. During COVID, this was the way everything was closed. All the libraries were closed, schools were closed. The only way I was able to meet with my students was online in the emergency classroom that was available. So there you have it. That's a quick overview of Junior Genius. If you do have any questions, we can discuss this in person. Thanks so much for watching, and bye for now.